Hello English World. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Hello English World. I'm Rose.
And I'm Leo, and today we're talking about something that I think every single one of you listening right now needs to hear.
Oh, this is a good one, Leo. This is a really good one.
It is, because today's topic is make more mistakes.
I know that sounds strange at first. Most people spend their whole lives trying to avoid mistakes, right? Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, you know what, today I really hope I messed something up.
Exactly. But here's the thing, and this is something I truly believe. The people who grow the fastest, who learn English the fastest, who build the best careers, the best relationships, the best lives, they are not the people who avoid mistakes. They are the people who make more of them.
And who learn from them, of course.
Of course. Making mistakes without learning is just making mistakes. But making mistakes and learning, that's the secret formula.
So grab your coffee, grab your tea, get comfortable, because today we're going to talk about why mistakes are actually your best friend, not your enemy. We'll share some real stories, some very relatable situations, and as always, we'll teach you some fantastic vocabulary and grammar along the way.
Let's get into it.
So, Leo, let me ask you something. Do you remember the first time you were really afraid to speak English in public?
Oh, absolutely. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was in a classroom, maybe 16 years old, and the teacher asked a question. I actually knew the answer. I knew it perfectly, but I didn't raise my hand.
Why not?
Because I was terrified that my pronunciation would be wrong, or that I would say the sentence in the wrong order and everyone would laugh at me.
That fear is so common. I think almost everyone listening right now has felt that exact same fear at some point. Not just with English, but with anything new. Starting a new job, trying a new sport, cooking a new recipe for the first time.
It's human nature, isn't it? We are wired to avoid embarrassment. Our brain literally treats social embarrassment like a threat, almost like danger.
That's fascinating, actually. There's real psychology behind it. But here's the problem with that fear. It stops us from growing. If you never raise your hand, you never get corrected. And if you never get corrected, you never improve.
Right, and I learned this lesson the hard way. Years later, I finally forced myself to speak up in a meeting, even though I knew my grammar might not be perfect. And you know what happened?
What happened?
Nothing bad. Absolutely nothing bad happened. A colleague gently corrected one small phrase. I said thank you, and we moved on. That was it. The world didn't end.
The world didn't end. I love that. And that's really the heart of today's episode. Most of the disasters we imagine in our heads before we speak, they almost never actually happen.
Never, or almost never.
So let's talk about our first piece of vocabulary for today, because embarrassment is such an important word to understand deeply. Our first word is embarrassment. It's a noun, and it means the uncomfortable feeling you get when you think people are judging you, or when something awkward happens in front of others.
For example, he felt a wave of embarrassment when he mispronounced a word in front of the class.
Great example. Now here's a related word, the adjective form, embarrassed.
I was so embarrassed when I forgot my colleague's name during the meeting.
And one more form, embarrassing. This describes the situation itself, not how you feel.
That was such an embarrassing moment. See the difference, everyone? I am embarrassed. The situation is embarrassing.
Perfect distinction. This is a very common mistake, pun intended, that English learners make. They mix up ed and ing adjectives.
Great tip. Let's give you one more useful phrase. To make a fool of yourself. This means to do something that makes you look silly or stupid in front of others.
I was scared of making a fool of myself, so I stayed quiet. That fear is exactly what stops so many people from practicing English out loud.
But guess what, listeners? Making a fool of yourself sometimes is completely okay. In fact, it's a badge of honor.
A badge of honor. I love that phrase, too. It means something you should be proud of, not ashamed of.
Let's tell a story now. This is based on real-life situations that so many English learners experience.
I love our story segments. Okay, picture this. Maria has just moved to a new country. She doesn't speak the local language fluently yet, but she's determined to learn. One morning, she walks into a coffee shop.
Nervous, right? Heart beating a little fast?
Exactly. She walks up to the counter and she wants to order a simple cup of coffee with milk. But in her nervousness, instead of saying, "Can I have a coffee with milk, please?" she accidentally says, "Can I have a coffee with mouse, please?" Oh no. The barista pauses for a second and then smiles and says, "I think you mean milk."
And what does Maria do?
Well, in the story, she has two choices. Option 1, she turns bright red, feels humiliated, apologizes 10 times, and never comes back to that coffee shop again.
Or option 2,
Option 2, she laughs. She says, "Oh my goodness, yes, milk. Sorry, I'm still learning." And the barista laughs too and says, "No worries, your English is great. That was just a funny slip."
and which option do you think leads to a better life, Rose?
Option 2, obviously, because in option 2, Maria walks out feeling confident. She goes back to that same coffee shop the next day and the next, and slowly her English improves. In option 1, she avoids the coffee shop, avoids speaking, and her English stays exactly the same, or gets worse from lack of practice.
This is such a powerful lesson. The mistake itself was tiny, one word, but the reaction to the mistake determined everything that happened afterwards.
Exactly. Our reaction to failure is often more important than the failure itself.
I want everyone listening to remember that sentence. Your reaction to failure is often more important than the failure itself. Write that down if you can.
Now let's get a little bit scientific for a moment, Leo. Did you know that neuroscientists have actually studied what happens in the brain when we make a mistake?
Tell me more. I'm curious.
So, when you make a mistake, especially when you notice the mistake yourself, your brain actually creates stronger neural connections around that piece of information. It's called an error-related response. Basically, your brain pays more attention right after a mistake than it does when everything goes smoothly.
That is incredible. So mistakes aren't just emotionally useful, they're biologically useful too.
Exactly. Think about it this way. If you say a sentence perfectly the first time, your brain thinks, "Great, no problem here," and moves on. But if you make a mistake and someone corrects you, your brain thinks, "Wait, that's interesting. I need to remember this," and it locks that memory in much stronger.
So in a strange way, getting something wrong can actually help you remember it better than getting it right.
Yes, this is why language teachers often say that correction is a gift, not a punishment.
I love that phrase. Correction is a gift. Let's put that in our vocabulary section too. All right, second vocabulary round. Our next word is resilience. It's a noun that means the ability to recover quickly from difficulties, mental toughness.
She showed great resilience after failing her English exam twice. She studied even harder and passed on her third try.
Beautiful example. The adjective form is resilient. A resilient learner doesn't give up after one mistake.
Next word, to bounce back. This is a phrasal verb meaning to recover quickly after something bad happens.
After the embarrassing presentation, he bounced back and gave an amazing speech the following week.
I really like this phrase because it's so visual. Imagine a ball bouncing back up after hitting the ground. That's exactly what we want to do with our mistakes.
One more phrase for you all, a growth mindset. This describes the belief that your abilities and intelligence can improve through effort and practice.
As opposed to a fixed mindset, which believes that abilities are unchangeable. You're either good at something or you're not.
People with a growth mindset see mistakes as opportunities, while people with a fixed mindset see mistakes as proof that they aren't good enough.
That difference in thinking can change your entire life, honestly. Not just your English, your career, your relationships, everything.
Now it's time for our grammar tip of the day. Today, since we're talking about mistakes, let's talk about how to correctly express regret or talk about things we did wrong in the past.
This is such a useful grammar point. The structure is should have plus past participle.
For example, I should have studied more before the test.
This means you didn't study enough and now you regret it. It's describing a mistake in the past.
Now here's an important pronunciation tip. In natural spoken English, should have is often pronounced like should've, almost like shoulda.
Say it with me, everyone. I shoulda called her. Not should have, but shoulda.
And the negative form is shouldn't have. For example, I shouldn't have eaten so much cake.
That's one for you, Leo, after last weekend.
Guilty as charged. Okay, let's give a few more examples to make this crystal clear.
He shouldn't have quit his job without a plan.
We should have left earlier. Now we're stuck in traffic.
I should have practiced my English speaking more before the interview.
See how naturally this fits into our topic today? We're literally talking about mistakes using the exact grammar structure that expresses regret about mistakes.
And remember, listeners, using this structure doesn't mean you should feel guilty forever. It's simply a tool to reflect on the past so you can do better in the future.
Exactly. Reflection, not self-punishment.
Let's do one more story, because I think stories really help these lessons stick in our minds.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
This is about a man named David. David applied for his dream job, a position at an international company where English was the main working language. He prepared for weeks. He practiced answers to common interview questions. He was ready.
Sounds like he did everything right.
He did. But during the actual interview, something happened. He was asked a question he didn't expect, and in his nervousness, he completely mixed up his tenses. Instead of saying, "I have worked in marketing for 5 years," he said, "I am working in marketing since 5 years."
Oh, a classic tense mistake. Very common for English learners, actually, especially for those whose first language doesn't have this exact tense structure.
Right. And David noticed it immediately. His stomach dropped. He thought, "That's it. I've ruined the interview."
What happened next?
Well, David had a choice, just like Maria at the coffee shop. He could panic, apologize excessively, and lose his confidence for the rest of the interview. Or he could simply smile, quickly correct himself, and continue.
And what did he choose?
He chose to smile, say, "Sorry, let me rephrase that. I have worked in marketing for 5 years," and then continued answering the question with energy and confidence.
And did he get the job?
He did. In fact, later, the hiring manager told him that his confidence and calmness after the small mistake actually impressed her more than a perfect grammar performance would have.
Wow, that's such a powerful ending to the story.
It really is, because in real life, in real workplaces, in real conversations, nobody expects perfect grammar. What people notice is your confidence, your attitude, and how you handle small bumps in the road.
Bumps in the road. I love that expression. It means small temporary problems or difficulties along the way.
Great catch, Leo. Let's add that to our vocabulary list, too.
All right, our final vocabulary round for today. First up, a bump in the road. This idiom means a small temporary problem or difficulty.
Losing our first client was just a bump in the road. The business grew successfully after that.
Next word, to rephrase. This is a verb meaning to say something again using different words, usually to make it clearer or to correct a mistake.
Let me rephrase that question so it makes more sense.
Very useful phrase for anyone learning a new language. You can literally use this exact sentence in real conversations.
Next word, self-doubt. This is a noun describing a lack of confidence in yourself and your abilities.
Self-doubt can be more dangerous to your progress than the mistakes themselves.
So true. And our final phrase for today, to take it in stride. This means to accept a difficult or unexpected situation calmly without getting upset.
She made a small mistake during her presentation, but took it in stride and finished strong.
I absolutely love that phrase. Take it in stride. Imagine someone walking confidently and a small stone appears on the path. They don't stop, they don't panic, they just step over it and keep walking.
Beautiful image. That's exactly the attitude we want you to have with your English mistakes.
Okay, so we've talked about why mistakes are good, we've heard some stories, we've learned vocabulary and grammar, but now let's get really practical. How can our listeners actually apply this today?
Great question. I have 3 tips I want to share.
Let's hear them.
Tip number 1, speak before you feel ready. Most people wait until they feel ready enough to speak English, but that feeling almost never comes. Instead, force yourself to speak even when you're not 100% confident.
I love that. Waiting for perfect confidence is like waiting for the perfect moment to start exercising. It never really arrives. You have to start while you still feel a little unsure.
Exactly. Tip number 2, keep a mistake journal. Every time you notice yourself making a mistake in speaking or writing, write it down along with the correct version. Over time, you'll start to see patterns.
That's such a smart idea. You're literally turning your mistakes into a personal study guide.
And tip number 3, celebrate the attempt, not just the result. If you tried to have a full conversation in English today, even if you made 10 mistakes, celebrate that you tried. That courage matters more than perfection.
I want to add a fourth tip, if that's okay.
Please go ahead.
I want to surround yourself with people who make you feel safe to make mistakes. Whether that's a patient friend, a supportive teacher, or even a podcast like ours, being in an environment where mistakes are welcomed instead of judged makes an enormous difference.
That's a beautiful point, Rose. And honestly, that's exactly what we try to create here on Hello English World, a safe, friendly space to learn.
Absolutely. We want you to feel like you're sitting with two friends, not being tested by two strict teachers.
All right, everyone, it's time for our listener challenge of the day.
I love this part. Okay, here's your challenge. Today or this week, I want you to intentionally speak English out loud, even if it's alone in your room, talking to yourself in the mirror, and make at least one mistake on purpose.
On purpose? Really?
Yes, because when you make a mistake on purpose and notice it, you train your brain to feel comfortable with imperfection. It removes the fear.
That's such a clever exercise. Okay, here's an additional part of the challenge. Write your mistake and the correct version in the comments below this video.
Yes, please do this. Share your mistake with us. Maybe you'll say, I have go to the store, instead of I went to the store. Whatever it is, share it and let's learn together as a community.
And don't worry, nobody here is going to laugh at you. We're all learning all the time together.
That's the whole spirit of this podcast, honestly.
So to wrap up today's episode, what's the one big idea you want our listeners to remember, Rose?
I think it's this. Mistakes are not proof that you're bad at English. Mistakes are proof that you're actually trying, and trying is the only path to improvement.
Beautifully said. And from my side, I'd add that don't let the fear of looking silly for 5 seconds stop you from becoming fluent for the rest of your life.
That's a good one, Leo. Don't let 5 seconds of embarrassment cost you a lifetime of fluency.
Exactly. Write that one down too, everyone.
So remember, speak boldly, make mistakes bravely, and grow from every single one of them.
Thank you all so much for listening to today's episode of Hello English World.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and share it with a friend who's also learning English.
And don't forget to leave your on-purpose mistake in the comments below this video. We genuinely can't wait to read them.
Until next time, keep learning, keep smiling, and keep making those beautiful mistakes.
See you in the next episode.
Bye, everyone.